Crazy moms on paternity court.
You know dang good and well that me and my husband took care of you.
I really thought he was the dad. That's why.
That is a really huge pill to swallow.
Okay, things in paternity court can't get any crazier than this, because it seems like Miss Cole is trying to pin a baby on a man she never slept with.
Mr. Webb, you and your girlfriend say there's no chance whatsoever that you fathered the defendant's 6-month-old daughter, Majestic. You say your evidence will shock this courtroom. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Miss Cole, you and your mother say you're 100% certain that Mr. Webb is your child's biological father.
When the judge asked the defendant why he was having doubts, his response was this.
Mr. Webb, how can you be so certain you are not this child's biological father?
I never had sex with her, Your Honor.
Well, that would rule you out. You've never had sex with her?
No.
Yeah, he did.
She's a liar. She's crazy.
And this testimony had everyone in the courtroom, including Judge Lake, totally stumped.
Ms. Cole, we've heard a lot of defenses in this courtroom. Rarely have we ever heard that you've never had sex with her.
She's absolutely crazy.
So you think she's just making this up?
Yeah.
But Natasha had her own side of the story lined up well.
I know for a fact the dates line up, and I know he stayed with me for 2 months, and he slept in my bed with me for 1 night, and we had sex. April 11th.
That's when you believe you conceived your daughter?
Yeah.
However, the alleged baby daddy dismissed Miss Cole's testimony as a complete fabrication.
We never had sex or anything. We were just friends. We would chill out. That was it.
You were never intimate with her in any way?
I never stayed in her bedroom. I stayed out on the couch.
That's a lie.
And on top of that, I was only there for a week and a week and a half.
Wow, now that sounds confusing. Let's clear it up a bit.
Take me back to the night you believe you conceived.
I can't exactly remember, but I know that it was a night that we was partying.
Oh yeah, right.
After this, Webb told the court that Miss How Crazy Baby Mama was manipulative to the core.
Your Honor, the worst that we've ever done is take a picture, and she was already in the bathroom. She had called me in there. When I walked in the bathroom, she said cheese and took a picture before I could even say anything. I didn't even want to take that picture. That's how crazy she is. She
There's more
posted it
than
on
one.
Facebook, and when I told her to take it down, she refused to because she's crazy.
But Miss Cole had brought Coco's mother to support her side.
Come on, you know dang good and well that me and my husband took care of you the whole time you were there.
I didn't see
You were in her.
All right, let's get some order.
You're right, so you need help
I'm
just much.
sorry, Your
Let's
Honor,
get
but
some
I'm
order.
like getting...
She was on the phone with me
You're a liar.
5-6 times
You're
a
a
day.
liar.
Why was Mr. Webb living with you?
He's a punk bum. We
Honor, I would-
supplied everything for them.
Mr. Webb even told the court how there was another man in the picture, and Miss Cole agreed to it.
He's the dad, because I did have another partner. It was a month prior.
I would find out.
No, I told you there was another possibility, and I told the other
But you
possibility
also
there
told
was
them
another.
that you were 100% sure that I was the father. You and your mom said that.
Wait a minute, Miss Cole.
Look, she looks just like him.
That baby's white.
Yeah, it looks just like appearance. It doesn't guarantee paternity. DNA results do. So, let's get to it.
I ain't white, I'm brown.
You're not that brown.
Brown.
You see my skin color?
Mr. Webb are not her father.
Oh!
I really thought he was the dad. That's why. I just feel really stupid.
Mr. Manser is in court today to put an end to his ex's paternity drama.
Mr. Manser, you claim you spent 5 years in prison for failing to pay child support for the defendant, Ms. Sears' son, Dylan.
That's right.
And it was never proven that you are his biological father. Now, Ms. Sear, you say you have proof that Mr. Manser is Dylan's father.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Manser even explained to the court how he got stuck in this situation.
Mr. Manser, explain to the court the circumstances surrounding your arrest.
Well, Your Honor, she was a friend of my aunt's. She was best friends with my aunt. We all lived in the same little community. She lived across the street. I knew of her. I knew her. I've spoken to her. But as far as intimacy, we was together one time. And I hate to be crude, but it was a one-night stand.
Miss Sear, on the other hand, was not prepared to listen to anything the man at the podium had to say.
I don't care what your version was. I was far from a one-night
dating,
stand.
living across the street from each other.
Far from a one-night
My wife's gonna be
stand.
upset because
All
I live
right,
across
all
the
right.
street from somebody I'm not
Miss
dating
Sear,
now.
Oh, if I was your wife, I wouldn't
All
trust you for nothing.
When this court learned how Bill was named father by default,
You showed up for court and what happened?
No, I wasn't able. I wasn't able to show up for court. I was completely on the other side of the state. I was indigent. I was living at my mom's. Didn't have a job at the time, so I didn't show up for court, and I was named the natural father by default.
Even after going to jail, Mr. Manser had not seen proof of paternity.
And I actually asked my public defender, "Where's the proof? I've yet to see proof that the child's mine." He said that they obtained my DNA through a sample that was already on file.
I see the laboratory results of the testing with a probability of paternity of 99.67%.
Okay, that is a good reason to believe someone is the father of your child. And even Mr. Manser had no doubts until Dylan turned 18.
You didn't even talk about doubt. There was never even an issue of doubt until my son turned 18 years old.
Why would
Wait a
I?
minute, Miss
My
Sear,
check's being
You
garnished.
blamed him for 8
Let's get
years.
some more.
Since now things were getting a bit out of order, the judge called Dylan in, who told the court this.
I'm not really sure. I can't respect someone talking so much harmful to my mother like
And
that.
that's what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to do that.
What do you want from today?
I haven't seen either one of them in over a year now.
Daughter on the way.
I have a daughter due in November. You're the grandpa.
Listening to this, the judge called up the result. And oh boy, did the revelation push the judge over the edge.
Mr. Manser, you are not
Oh, God.
his father.
Oh, man.
Yes, I talked to him still.
5 years in prison. And then I say, do you know who your son's father is? And you say, yes, I'm still in touch with him. That is a really huge pill to swallow.
Young Mr. Hoyer is in court today to finally learn about his father's identity.
Mr. Hoyer, after 14 years of being in foster care, you desperately searched for your father. Sadly, that search ended when you learned that your alleged father, Mr. James Horn, was tragically killed. To make matters worse, you claim his family rejected you, and so you're here today to prove to them that you are indeed his son and finally have a family.
Yes, Your Honor.
But Mr. Horn's father begged to differ.
Ms. Porter, you and your mother, Ms. Horn, who's joining us from her hometown, are adamant that Mr. Hoyer is not biologically part of your family.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim that before Mr. Horn passed away, he clearly stated that he had no children, and you believe today's DNA results will prove him right.
Yes, Your Honor.
The judge started the trial by asking Mr. Hoyer how he found out about his deceased potential father.
I went to my mom's house to go say hi, and her new boyfriend was like, "You look like your father," which stopped me right there in my tracks. So I was like, "Wait, you know my father?" He was like, "Yeah, your father is James. My older brother lives next door to my alleged father's brother, James Horn," and he was like, "Yes, that's my brother." So my adopted brother came and got me, took me over to his neighbors, and that's how I met him.
However, his family claimed that they knew nothing about him and misexplained the fact like this.
My parents, they never accepted biracial relationships, never. So we kept it a secret. We were really in love.
I guess your secret was safe because they have no idea.
It was a secret. I didn't even know I was really pregnant until I was 6 months.
What's even more shocking than Miss Horn's revelation was that Mr. Horn was not the sole father. There was another man in the picture.
You were open and honest with your son that you had also been intimate with another man before Mr. Horn.
Yes.
When you had your son, was Mr. Horn there? Was he involved with your son?
Mr. Horn has seen my son one time. I left out of the relationship, had all this controversy with my family, me and my baby.
But the deceased man's sister was not buying it at all.
This is not my brother's child.
And why were you so sure?
He didn't look nothing like us. Nothing. Didn't have no resemblance, my brother. And we still grieving and trying to find out what done happened to my brother. I said, no, get out of this house and don't come back.
After listening to that, the judge asked the mother if she got shunned by one family, why didn't she look for the other father?
So where was he and why didn't you reach out to him?
I think he was lost. I left it alone.
It's sad this young man got to hear what we got to say. But when she told him anything about my brother, it was awful. She told him he was a crackhead. She told him he was a drunk. She told him he wasn't no good.
Yes, Miss Gentry tried to cover herself like that. Her lies, however, were exposed.
All I said is your father is dead. That's all I said, and I left it at that.
He went to the store to get him some milk and some Pampers, and he got killed. That was a lie too.
I never told him that either.
That was a lie too.
Would you like to take a lie detector test?
After 23 years, we don't know nothing about this young man. It's a whole lot you need to take.
So after all that deception, now it was time for the truth to come out.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics. In the case of Hoyer v. Gentry, Porter, Horn, Mr. James Horn is your biological father. The DNA test results have determined that Mr. Horn is not likely.
In this case, Mr. Jacobs is looking for a way to prove that Samar is his son.
Mr. Jacobs, you're on the birth certificate and paying child support for 3-year-old Samar, but say your ex is now telling people that you are not his biological father, and you're suing today to prove that Samar is your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
However, the baby mama claimed otherwise.
Now, Ms. Call, you admit to allowing Mr. Jacobs to name the baby, sign the birth certificate, and pay support for your son, but now say Samar's real biological father is another man, Mr. Daniel Cooper.
Yes, Your Honor.
Next, when the couple told the train hookup tale, the court judge's reaction was this.
Oh, you young people running around here having sex? I never heard of such. Just get on the bus going somewhere, next thing you know, you in somebody's apartment having sex. Who does that?
Following that, we learned about the unusual method of revealing pregnancy.
I was at home. I text Ernest because I was to a song by Usher, Confessions. First verse of the song, it says that she was pregnant. She was keeping it. I told him to go listen to text me back. He said, "You're pregnant?" I told him yes. He started denying the baby straight from the back.
Miss Cole, on the other hand, had already informed Mr. Jacobs about the other potential father.
You are my child's father? I'm pregnant and you're the child's father? Or you just tell him to go listen to a song?
No, Your Honor. When he texted me back, after he denied the baby, I did explain to him that it was a possibility. There was another guy that could be the father.
After this, the birth certificate signing thing got revealed, which was a complete recipe for confusion.
Did you sign the birth certificate? At that moment, were you sure you were this child's biological father?
Yes.
And why were you sure?
I was sure when she was in the C-section, they had brought Samar out to me, placed me in my arms and everything, and at that moment when I said his name, he had opened up his eyes looking at me, and at that time I felt the connection. And the nurse there told me, like, that's a rare thing for that to happen. You know, usually the babies don't open up their eyes.
Yeah, ignore all that the baby's own mother has to say and follow signs like, what on earth?
Or anything.
Because you thought he would not, because you were very open about that it could be his child and it could be somebody else.
Yes.
Your Honor, that's not true.
Now, Mr. Jacob, did you understand that by signing that birth certificate, you were acknowledging paternity? By executing this, signing my name here, I become the legal father of this child. And
Your Honor, nah.
Recognizing Mr. Jacobs' folly, the judge turned the tables on manipulative baby mama, who explained herself like this.
He signed the birth certificate, paying child support. He's responsible legally for this child. You're now saying he's not the father.
Yes, Your Honor. Every day I look at my son, he looks more and more like Mr. Cooper. He has his same eyes, same nose, same forehead.
So Mr. Cooper was called in, but he was not ready to accept paternity at all.
Do you believe you are?
No, Your Honor, because Miss Call, she was real promiscuous. She was out there. She had.
Did she tell you you were the father? Or did she tell you Mr. Jacobs was the father?
Trying to hint that I was the father, but I wasn't hearing it. She was just like, I'm pregnant, and you know, like she was getting a little bigger, but I'm like, man, that ain't mine. You doing whatever you do. Like you come over at night and leave in the morning.
But what happened next left us all speechless.
Mr. Jacobs to pay the child support, even though you say that Mr. Cooper is the child's father. I do know, because that's exactly what happened. But what I'm saying to you is you accept the child support, but you want Mr. Cooper to be the child's father, and he's acting like he doesn't want anything to do with the baby. It has been determined by this court. Mr. Cooper, you are not father.
Little Cookie's father is fighting for his chance at paternity, while his mother is convinced that her fling is the baby's biological father.
You admit that you allowed your husband to sign the birth certificate and initially believed he was father, but as your daughter got older, she no longer looked like him. And now you believe another man is her dad. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith started with the story of how his wife brutally cheated on him.
What happened, Mr. Smith? When you see these text messages with nude photos and I miss you.
I basically, you know, I let my parents know what was going on. I packed up and I left. I had to.
Seen any of these alleged text messages that he's talking about?
Well, did you send them? I mean, even if you haven't seen them, did you send them?
Listening to this, they jumped right into the pregnancy question.
I found when I was pregnant, we were very excited. I told Christian we weren't together. I thought that this could be a chance for us to reconnect and make our marriage work. He agreed, and shortly after we got back together.
But what Mr. Smith said made us feel really bad for the young man.
It was a cesarean section birth. So what I made sure was, since I couldn't cut the cord, I asked the doctor, you know, can I lean over, can I see, you know, because you can only see that one, you know, it can only happen one time. So now, you know, when Cookie is 18, 21, 40, I can tell her that you know, I saw you come into this earth.
Mr. Smith told the court how the cheating continued even after birth.
I look up their Instagram. So I'm scrolling and I see somebody holding my daughter with a
what?
You know, with a cheese, you know, with one of these, you know, with a cheese on their face, like it's all happy and everything. It did have a caption, but I not for word verbatim, but it was something in the line of him claiming her though. It was that.
Mrs. Smith revealed the following when asked who the man in the picture was.
His name is Joseph. I actually met Joseph after we separated, and around the time I was very vulnerable. He was the only one showing me any type of attention or any love, which I needed because I felt lonely around the time because my husband left me alone.
You had sex with him?
Yes, ma'am.
So the judge asked the baby mama why she didn't come clean right at the start.
Yes, ma'am, because I didn't feel like it was any need to bring it up to him because when me and Joseph, we were separated. So I didn't tell my husband about it.
But at the point you find out you're pregnant, shouldn't you at least put these cards on the table?
Yeah.
But that was not the only thing she was hiding.
This other man, that the child was his?
Yes.
Before me, I don't mean anything. Just this random person gets the best information in the world and you feel like you can't tell me the one thing that I actually need to hear.
After this, another judge called in the other alleged father, who was also determined he wasn't the father.
I ain't gonna lie, when I seen her, she looks just like my dad. She looks just like us, so, you know, I never really doubted it, you understand what I'm saying? Like, I always thought that, yo, this is my child.
Okay, that confidence coming from both sides definitely calls for DNA results now.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Prater.